Morning, we're live. Hi, Trudy.
Hi, Jael. Morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. You're looking bright this morning.
Yes, definitely brighter than yesterday. Today I can see all your little natural hair swirls at the front. That's Jael. You look good today.
Thank you. You look good too. You're embarrassing me, girl. You're making me blush, chef. How
God.
was your night?
It was cool. It was cool. I think I slept more than you. I saw you were working like really, really early in the morning, but I
I'm
missed out.
I'm that girl. I need 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep.
Just
Once I get 4 hours uninterrupted, I'm okay. Yeah, that's me.
you don't take naps?
No, I can't do naps
Oh God.
either. Like if I fall asleep during the day, there's a chance I'm pregnant.
Oh my God.
That's the only time I actually slept during.
Oh my God. Jail, I've been sleeping every afternoon since this quarantine thing. I'm not pregnant. I'm not-
Thank God, because I will go back to yesterday's discussion when I asked you if you were getting any extra, and you're like,
Right. Right. So I'm napping, but it's not for the reasons that you nap. I'm just a napper. I just nap.
no, I can't. I feel like every time I lie down and it's daytime, I'm like, there's so much I could be doing. Like, what am I sleeping for? Like, there's so much to do. Like, yeah,
Wow, wow, wow,
I'm that girl. I'm
wow.
that girl. Yes.
Well,
Just say
up to you.
thank you, thank you. Good morning to all the listeners. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Let us know if you can hear us clearly, if you can see us. Um, Log on if you're not on Facebook, or if you listening via radio and you'd like to connect with us on digital. We're on digital channels 57, so you can see us live and in living color. Hi, Jody. Jody said she's tuned in. What's up, Jody? Yes,
Hi,
we're seeing
Jody.
the coming on. I want to say good morning to everyone who's locked in on 99.5, 94.5, and 90.1 FM, and the folks on our Facebook page. Good morning. Yes, I'm rocking my Creole headband today. You know, yeah, I figured I'll put on a little Dominique or something. Being outside up there, trying to connect. Trying
A
to feel
little,
like things now.
a little madras in May.
Ooh, I like that. Maja. That should have been my caption. Yes, Maja in me. I love it. I love it. Uh,
Right.
Trudy and I are joining you guys, and Julie says she's waving. See her waving, like we can see her. She there waving. It's okay. We're waving too. Wave, wave. We're so excited to be here again with you guys, joining you, and we have two really amazing guests coming on. We have Double Trouble, right, Trudy?
Double trouble. Double trouble.
Double.
Legally fit for consumption. We have a great theme this morning.
Yes, we definitely do.
Definitely.
And I want to give, before we get them on, I want to sort of give us a little background, because sometimes we hear people come on and talk and we're like, but what are they saying? And
Right.
one of the things that we promised on Woman to Woman is that we would try and keep it as simple as possible so anybody and everybody can understand what's going on, or what we're talking about. And we feel like this is a conversation that needed to be had, you know. So here we are talking about legally fit for consumption, and you might think, oh my God, all of these big terms, legally fit for Sasa Aye, what is that? I did a bit of research, Trudy, and so one of the things that I found was that we in the Caribbean tend to pay a lot less attention to our labels, and even
Right.
just from our local farmers. We don't really pay attention to a lot of we just trust that what we
Yeah.
get or what we're given is exactly what we're getting.
Right. I mean, and the only little distrust comes in like when you see these things on Facebook that certain things are made of plastic. Like I know there's these videos that circulate plastic rice and plastic this. So
And we
people
still
get,
don't believe it.
yeah.
We don't believe it, right?
So
Because I
people
know.
do it and then it just dies down after that. So yeah.
Well, just last year there were cases reported where, like for example, in Texas, there was a case where farmers were putting. It was alleged that farmers were putting cow heart in beef. Also, back in 2018, we had in Vietnam. It was they found that there were adulterated black pepper, and which were actually toxic. And in more recent times, like as of last year, we saw turmeric being lauded. So people were I mean, turmeric is a big deal now. We see everybody using turmeric. We have
I
turmeric.
started using
Everybody makes
it
turmeric
recently.
for that, right? We have
I
turmeric every.
started using it, Jill. I started using it just recently. I like a friend of mine was like, "You've never used turmeric?" I'm like, "No, I am just getting into this turmeric hype. So now I'm doing turmeric rice and turmeric this."
Well, it's great for it's great for consumption, but we also have to pay attention and ensure that what we're getting is the actual turmeric. Because last year it was reported that some turmeric had lead in it.
Oh wow.
Lead in some exactly. There's been cases where with curry powder, with cinnamon. Um, just last year, Global News here in Canada reported that a judge in Missouri sentenced a man to 10 years because he was actually he said that the eggs and the steak that he reared on his farm were free of chemicals. That was untrue, right? And imagine he got 10 years imprisonment for that. Also, there's been cases where people have diluted olive oil, and you thinking you're getting, everybody in olive oil these days, right? You think you're getting extra
Yeah.
virgin olive oil, and you pay a little extra for the extra virgin when it's actually not extra virgin, it's diluted
Yeah.
olive oil. Are we paying attention to our labels? Are we paying attention when things are repackaged? Because we get things from out of Dominica that are sometimes repackaged because we get it in bulk and it's repackaged for our use, right? And so in the supermarkets, are we paying attention to the labels? Where are these things coming from? A lot of things need to be paid attention to. And that's why we have these lovely ladies joining us. Uh,
Right.
Double trouble, right? So we're gonna get them on. We're gonna get them on, Trudy.
Yeah, so this morning we're going to have with us Dr. Rock and her twin sister, Mrs. Seeley. So welcome this morning to Woman to Woman.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi,
Hi.
good morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
How are you all doing?
We are
Good.
great.
Okay, so JL already kind of preempted, why we need to have this discussion. We'd like you all to tell us a bit about who you are and the work that you do.
Who's
So
going to start first?
you could go ahead. Or I don't know how twins make decisions. Who goes first?
The older one.
The other one. Okay.
So I am Susan Seeley, attorney at law from Barbados. I have my own law practice. I've been practicing for 10 years. And over the last 5 years, I have been engaged in a really big project relating to food law because I thought it was a necessary thing to be addressed in the Caribbean region. And you guys would have set a really good platform when you started the program this morning about the labeling and the food fraud and all those issues that are, coming up when it comes to food. And recently we are living in the COVID era now. And, there are a lot of things that you're hearing. You're hearing food security, food sustainability, food and nutrition policy, and where does the law come into that circle? It does because, the law affects everything that we do. We are persons who always eat food, right? And everybody needs food. So, you have to have measures in place to protect yourselves and protect the consumers for, eating foods that are safe and healthy, So yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get a lot of the people who are the farmers, the local farmers, the people who pre-package things. Hopefully we can get them in on this conversation. So we want to encourage you guys to tag a friend if you're on our social media. Let them know that we're on. And if you have any questions, you can always send your questions to 767-245-0513. We met Cheryl last week, right, Cheryl? Dr. Cheryl Rock joins us. Cheryl, can you tell us a little bit about your background as well?
Sure. So first, I'm Susan's partner in crime. I'm actually living in California. I'm an assistant professor in food science and nutrition at California State University. That's 20 minutes south of LA. And I teach students about how to convert basic raw materials from the garden to what it ends up on the shelf in the supermarket. So we all eat eggs, we eat cheese, we drink wine, we have a variety of food products on the grocery store. So my area of expertise is to teach the science behind the production of food from farm to fork. I've lived away from Barbados for 15 years. I enjoy going home a lot, and I collaborate with my sister in her initiatives to teach and inform the local populace about just the whole era around food safety and why it's important. As you are well aware, we have a lot of issues with the NCDs, diseases in the Caribbean, through the Caribbean, and a lot of it is attributed to the eating patterns that we participate in. So basically, I'm very honored to collaborate with my sister regarding the initiatives. We share the same vision, and we are here to share that with you today.
All right. Dr. You just mentioned something that caught my interest when you said, the whole impact of food and NCDs on NCDs. I remember when I was in Barbados, they had referred to it in one of my classes as the diabetes capital of the world, and it was not a proud reference. So it's so interesting you Barbados and doing that work, which really and truly is so relevant in what we're trying to accomplish health-wise in the Caribbean region. So I just wanted to, I listened to that NCD reference and I was like, that's so relevant in today's world. Definitely.
Absolutely. And that's why my sister and I, we really take pride and joy in what we do. This is our passion, and we really want to help, of course, the Barbadian population and also the wider Caribbean region to really understand how we all play a role in reducing those NCDs, and also how having a proper regulatory framework will help with this.
All right. Okay. So we just wanted to broaden the discussion and let us know the significance really of the topic today as it relates to food and it being legally fit for consumption. So the relevance of that today.
Okay, so I'll start first. And I want to start with two real life scenarios. You want to paint a really nice picture in the minds of what the whole concept of food law involves, because remember, we want to make this whole discussion very simple. So I'm going to start with an example where a person who owns a cottage industry, affects the whole concept of the food chain. So let's go on to the story. So Jenny, she brought a ginger beer from a local village vendor who is popular in selling beverages on an everyday basis. In fact, many of other persons purchase these drinks from the local village vendor because they are found to be very delicious. But here's what happened. So Jenny initially consumed about half of the bottle of the famous ginger beer, and while she was on her way home. And then when she got home, she opened the bottle, and the bottle was of a dark, opaque nature. When she got home, she poured the remainder of the drink into a glass. And at this point, the decomposed remains of what appeared to be a millipede floated out, causing her alleged shock and severe gastroenteritis. Now, while Jenny suffered shock and gastroenteritis, after a few days, there were reports of an outbreak of gastroenteritis in the community as well. What is important to note, though, is that in this entire scenario, the owner of the beverage business did not have any license from the Ministry of Health to authorize him to use his home to operate as a food beverage manufacturing facility. Additionally, the workers who assisted in mixing the drinks did not have a requisite health certificate to clear them of pathogens that may cause foodborne illnesses. So, further investigation had to be made. So when the investigations were made, it was revealed that the drinks were manufactured at the home where bat droppings and rat hairs were found, and the drinks were mixed in a container that was used to defrost raw meat overnight.
Oh God.
The sugar mix for the drink was stored in a rat-infested cabinet. Overnight, the drinks that were sold were stored in a freezer that also stored raw meat. Early mornings now, the drinks were then taken from the freezer and defrosted and then was sold in hot weather during the day. What was interesting about these containers were that the drinks, the container the drinks were stored in, were that they were not sealed and they didn't have any food labels. Does this story sound like one that we are all familiar with? That is the first story. Now here the second story. And this story now relates to a story that comes from a manufacturing industry that is a really big food manufacturing plant. So Katie,
you're talking, and I'm just like picturing people, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
Is that happening to you too, Trudy?
This is the real truth. This is real truth.
This is the real story. This is a real scenario that happens all the time. So let's hear what Katie's story is all about. So listen carefully. Katie is a vegan and loves to purchase juices that are declared to be all natural.
Oh.
There is a popular retail brand of the natural kale juice that she loves, which is sold in her community grocery. Katie purchases the natural kale juice and consumes it. The kale juice is manufactured by a large manufacturing plant who does not pasteurize their juices because they think that it will destroy the quality of their juice. 3 days after Katie started to feel ill, she also discovered that her stools were, 3 days after Katie started to feel ill, and then she discovered that her stools were bloody and watery. This, of course, caused her much concern, and she visited her doctor. She immediately was admitted to the ICU at her local hospital because her body started to show signs of kidney failure. The doctors ordered a blood test for Katie, and the test revealed that she had contracted a very dangerous food pathogen called E. coli 87157. This foodborne pathogen is very dangerous as it can cause death. As the days went by, there was a news release that there was an outbreak of E. coli 87157. Investigations revealed that the kale juice in which Katie had consumed were contaminated with this same pathogen. The other consumers who also drank this juice had also been infected. What was found was that the kale which were supplied to the manufacturers were very contaminated with this pathogen because Farmer Joe had a pig farm that he used to clean every day, and the water leaving the farm with the pig droppings were finding its way to the lovely kale patch that he also maintained. The pig waste was found to contain a deadly E. coli pathogen. The manufacturer who produced this kale failed to do their checks and balances to ensure that their product was safe due to the fact that it was made of a raw vegetable material and it was not pasteurized. To make a long story short, the company faced a significant lawsuit for their negligence and eventually closed the business as a result of the large payout sums. So does this story sound familiar to you like the first one?
Yeah, very possible.
Yeah. And it's not just the probably the pathogens that get into it, but it's like you brought up the story of a vegan, and there may be something like gelatin in there, because I know people love, and I don't want to call the name of the drink that they love so much, and we claim that it's vegan, for example, like sea moss, and you're like, oh, but they may put gelatin in there to thicken it, and gelatin is an animal-based product, right? So all of these scenarios you bring up, I mean, they're extreme, and it happens. But even from the smaller stages, it also happens as well. Where people you might not get sick. There you are thinking you're vegan and you're consuming vegan food when you're not.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
So that's the real issue that that Susan highlight, that it can bring a lot of critical issues for people, right? And so we really have to really buckle down and really think about food safety. Safe. My mantra is, if food is not safe, it's not nutritious. So the very thing that you're supposed to be sustaining by is the very thing that's killing you. And honestly, like Suzanne mentioned the issue around the foodborne illness with the bacteria and stuff like that, but it gets worse. A lot of these different bacteria can also cause the onset of the cancer, the diabetes, and then also the cardiovascular disease. So it's not just ending there. It's like that's one of the side effects of contracting these different bacteria in your food. Look at COVID right now, right? That would have came from a food source, and look how it has caused the whole world to shut down. So we have to really be vigilant about, really how food is produced. Everybody's trying to say, we need food security. We need to produce more food for the Caribbean. We need to put our hands together. But the real microcosm and macrocosm is the smaller issue is the things we can't see with our naked eye is the bacteria that's causing the mix sick. I mean, like, there's so many cases of unreported gastroenteritis. I grew up as a kid. You get sick, you feel like a flu bug, and you just go on self-care. You just go in bed, you just go and lay down, and you just think, like, oh, I got a flu, or my stomach just hurting me. But that's some serious stuff going on there. So I like how Suzanne really give the anecdotes to really hit it home, because too many times the food safety aspect is really negated, and it should be addressed throughout the wider Caribbean.
Want to say, we have a lot of people logging on. People are sending me messages. I want to say good morning to Dr. Nesty, who's talking, and she's saying these scenarios are very common. So she's listening right now, and she is definitely like putting her seal of approval on the scenarios that you're bringing. You mentioned in your introductory comments about the interesting concept of harmonizing food law science, and with much relevance about producing foods which is legally fit to consume. Dr. Rock, as a food scientist and Attorney Seeley, you are a food lawyer. You're also twin sisters. Tell me how you use your expertise in harmonizing food and science.
So let me just start first before Susan chime in. So basically, food science, I'm a food scientist, yes. And basically, like I mentioned to you, everything you see on the grocery store, from milk to cheese to everything you see, it has to go through a food scientist. When you hear food science, people think, oh, chef, or they think about, they just think about, they don't know what it really is. It's a gray area, right? And so in simple layman terms, basically, like I mentioned to you, is a scientist who worked with the different parts of the industry to convert the raw food material into the form that is actually end up on the shelf. So basically, I teach things like agro processing, how to convert food from the farm to the fork, and making sure that it's safe for the consumer. So, for example, Susan mentioned the kale juice that was produced, right? So, as a food scientist, I would teach the manufacturing industry how to properly pasteurize that juice, really heat it up a little bit to kill those bad bacteria that can cause foodborne illness. I also teach food law. Basically, food law is the application of law and regulatory protocols to address things like nutritional labeling. So you'll see things like fat-free or gluten-free or sugar-free, but what does it really mean, right? So there must be standards, because if you have a whole bunch of people creating food and there's no standards behind what is legally fit for that definition, you can imagine if someone has diabetes and their product says sugar-free and it's not indeed sugar-free, then your blood sugar skyrocket to the roof, then you're in beer trouble, right? And then basically, with the whole issue of COVID, we need food to be secured, but we also need food for when they have hurricanes. Okay, if the electricity goes out or power goes out, how do we preserve that food where there's no refrigeration? So I would teach the industry how to preserve the food by simple methods like drying to reduce the water, to like maybe can the food to make sure it will last a longer time. So things like that. And last, the whole law and science is culminated is through brand innovation, right? We don't eat food only fresh from the garden. We have to eat it in various forms like cereals, desserts, there's a whole different degrees of food products. So I teach in the industry how to safely manufacture those products, how to get their concepts, their ideas from concept to commercialization, also integrating the law. So I'm gonna let Susan talk about that aspect.
Yes, and I want to join in with my sister to say that, let me just go back to the scenarios quickly so I can show how the law and science are, harmonized. So in both of the scenarios that were presented, you have the local food vendor and you have the farmer Joe. And it's really evident that, it's important to promote certain things that relate to the law. So for example, you have to look at the implementation of the legal and regulatory processes in developing, and enforcing new food safety standards at the cottage level and also at the large manufacturing industry level. You have to look at the allocation of resources that would educate the public and food manufacturers and handlers about how and why food law and regulations is important to food safety. And the question I have to ask, was it the intent to cause harm by the local vendor or the farmer Joe? No, but is their duty, is their legal duty to provide the customer with safe food. And we also talk about stakeholders in the food industry, and you have to focus on the consumer. The consumer are one of the largest stakeholders in the food system, and the consumer has the right to know what is in their food and how it should be provided. And they should know what level of facilities that they have been produced in, and if it has been actually produced for food production. So consumers have to get their hands in the mud and start digging about these food products that they're actually using to see if they're actually regulated properly. I know more recently you have global developments are increasingly challenging, and global health and nutrition security. Now, in light of COVID, the most three critical issues that are looked at, as I mentioned before, is food safety, food security, and food sustainability. And Dr. Rock would have mentioned about the NCDs, that comes up. So we have to, really look at this. And then finally, 5 years ago, my sister and I saw that there was a need for building the awareness of the importance of food law, the role of food law in the food system. And this was due to the fact that research shows that there are many challenges in the food industry. Some of these issues include food fraud. That I see that Trudy and Jael had a very interesting conversation with the plastic rice and the turmeric and all these different things. And that the food fraud came about due to the retention of the new suppliers, given the reduction of trusted suppliers and protective measures. And also you have the lack of stringent food safety practices, which have resulted in foodborne illnesses reported. So those are things that we have to focus on. And finally, as I stated before, the consumer is one of the greatest stakeholders in the whole picture here. And the problems we have is that consumer education is lacking, especially on nutritional labeling and policy. We have to delve into all of these. So every year, the Genesis Law Chambers usually have a food law conference that addresses all these issues. And these are things that, we kind of look to harmonize food law and science.
Right. The labeling thing it's just so amazing to me, because sometimes local products, particularly local products, sometimes you're looking at the labels to get certain information, like even something simple like how many calories are in there, and the labels are so uninformative. It's like I see some local products and like the label will just say, tasty, it will be like plantain chips. And there's no information on the ingredients, plantain, and there's there's no other information on there to let precisely, because plantain is in there. We kind of know that, but other things are in there too, and the information I find, particularly on the local level, can be lacking. So this is so important, and reading those labels too also is important. Like people knowing that it's important to actually read the labels. That is so important. I'm so happy we're talking about this right now. I know last week there was a lot of discussion about reimagining sustainable agriculture. And my question is, how exactly does the law come into play in this process?
Well, you guys bring up right in your prelude to our discussion. You talked a lot about the issue revolving around food fraud, and globalization has really made the food system very, very complex. So first, let me remind you what the food system is. So the food system really consists of four major components, or four major five major sectors actually. There's the production aspect of the food. There is the processing aspect of the food from farm to fork. There is then the distribution of food to the consumer. Then there's the marketing of it, like how do we get it off the shelf? And then there's the issue around the food waste management. So these are the major sectors that really, really align with the food industry. Now, as it relates to sustainable agriculture, one of the things we look at is just the accessibility of food and how it's utilized. And really and truly, in this whole era now, there's desperate times equal desperate measures, right? And the hot topic was about food fraud. And food fraud can really manifest itself in many ways. And let me give you a few examples of this. So you might have a product that may be diluted down, right? So you say, for example, Farmer Brown, he wants to sell some coconut water, but then he realized his supply of coconuts were not coming in like usual. So what he would do, he will fill up the bottles with half water, half coconut water, and half sugar water, right? That's an example of a kind of food fraud that would occur. Now, the intent is not to do harm, but the consumer is not really getting the product that they're paying for, right? You mentioned an example of fake rice, right? That's called counterfeiting. You producing foods that are copies of our original food, right? Because really and truly, it's all about making money, so you can sell fake food to people, right? And then you have unapproved enhancements. You know, you have people put in like yam flour or breadfruit flour in some kind of milk or something like that, right, to make it bulky, right? That's not legal. And then you have the gray market where you get a whole bunch of products being made from different countries and they're not being sold. They don't even have English on them. And because you're desperate, you're buying the product from the different countries, right? Because they're not being accepted by other countries, so the dumping ground is the Caribbean. And then you have the mislabeling. So if the manufacturer is not really informed of how to label a product correctly, you could be advising the consumer erroneously. So imagine, like I told you, the whole issue around like diabetes. If you say the product is sugar free, can you imagine if the product is not really sugar free? It can also cause that issue with the person getting really, really sick. Or if I have an allergen, like a peanut allergen, if it's not declared on the label, I can die from anaphylactic shock. So these are very important issues to address when it relates to food law. Susan, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I also want to talk about the you remember the two scenarios that I've drawn to you, and there are elements of food law that you can use to kind of regulate this whole sort of thing. We have in terms of regulation of production, you have the HACCP as a food safety system. I'm sure many people would have heard of HACCP, which is referred to as the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points. And what this system does is provide guidance for food handling industries to help them maintain proper food safety for a variety of products. And the objective of the HACCP is to really help eliminate risks associated with biological hazards, chemical hazards, and physical hazards. You also have, remember we talked about labeling this morning. Labeling is a very critical thing, and labeling is one of the most important aspects of food regulation in a whole concept of food composition. Now, in correctly labeling products, you would prevent the recalls of foods or import denials through the RC ports, right, or airports. And then the food labeling regulation is really required to really design, to protect the economic expectations of the consumers and the food industry as a whole, so that the labeling would prevent faults and proper labeling will prevent the false and misleading statements that are the foundation of the labeling regulation. Because I find that in the Caribbean, for example, we see, I don't know if it happens in Dominica, but certainly here in Barbados, we have a lot of young guys on the street selling these colorful juices in these very clear bottles.
Yeah.
And they're not even labeled. It's like, come and have this drink. They're not labeled. You don't know the sugar content. You don't know anything. So it's not safe for consumption. You have to have proper labeling to have food that is safe to consume. Would you eat pig down? No, you have to know what you're eating, right? The whole concept of another important aspect too that comes out when you talk about harmonizing food law and science is that you look at the issue of product liability. Now, product liability is something that is like we call self-regulation. A lot of consumers are not aware of this because they believe that if they eat something, they just go home and lay down and probably take something to get rid of the diarrhea, or I don't feel good, get the doctor, and whatever the case may be. But self-regulation is one of the most powerful tools to really prevent foodborne illnesses from spreading, and the lack of bad food practices. For example, let me tell you an example. So, the government would have regulations to basically make sure that manufacturing industries are doing the right thing to make sure that food are safe. But consumers too have the power to do that, right? So that the ultimate goal of the consumer is to make sure that if they consume something that is risky, consume something that makes them sick, they are to go and report it to the relevant authorities. And you know what? As a lawyer, I go with evidence. You want to bring a claim against somebody who is making bad food and make you sick, you have to bring the medical evidence to show, yes, I did drink this drink, and it contained these pathogens, and I want to make an action against this company for doing so. So you consumers put pressure on the industries to make sure that what they are getting in their hands are safe. So, so that's where the whole concept of law and science comes in. Right? And the food law really is the gray area, or the thing that really marriages these three things.
My heart is heavy. Real heavy. We need to take a break.
Business, this serious business for real.
We need to take a break. We need to pay some bills. We need to pay some bills. We need to take a breather. We need to drink some water, because this is a really, really good discussion, because I don't think we pay attention to these things a lot in the Caribbean, which you rightly said, and there's so many different angles that this could spin off of. We're gonna take a break, pay some bills. When we come back, we're gonna be talking more. I want to encourage you guys, send in your questions. If you have your questions, the experts are here. Now is the time to put questions and ask. We have a lot of people out there who are listening. They're probably local vendors, you selling stuff, things are just opening up slowly in Dominica now, and you're allowed, to do more internally. We want to encourage the questions. 767-245-0514. You can send a WhatsApp message. You can send a text message. Don't send a smoke signal, because we will not see it. We're going to take a break. We're coming back with more Legally Fit for Consumption right here on Woman to Woman. We're coming back right after this. We're back. Yes,
So
we're back.
we're back
Yeah.
having an intense discussion on food safety, food security, food being legally fit for consumption with Mrs. Susan Seeley and Dr. Cheryl Rock. And ladies, you've been really giving us all sorts of things to consider as it relates to food security, sustainable agriculture as well. And, there's all these things that sometimes we just don't think about. I mean, before the break, you were talking about that diluted coconut water and juice being sold, bottled juice. And you asked if it happens in Dominica. Yes, it does. And I started to think about so many things. It's crazy. I'm sure that the listening audience as well, little bulbs started to go off in their head. Like, we really don't know what's in these things. It's supposedly local and natural. So we purchase because it's better than soda or that type of stuff. But do we know the content of anything in there? Do we know the sugar content? No. Do we know, if it was manufactured in a safe and secure facility or what's going on? So I'm really, really enjoying some of the thought-provoking things that were brought up in the last segment.
It's giving me a diarrhea, to be quite honest. Like my stomach is in a knot. Thank God for that ginger tea I drink.
I thought Jael was drinking her drink like, well, it's a good thing I have my own thing and it's not buy that by the road.
I just want to encourage folks, if you're just tuning in, if you're locked in on our social media, please share the live. If you're locked in on Vibes, I feel like this is so vital. This is so important. Please share the live with a friend, with a family, with a folk. Tag somebody, let them know. It's so important. You might know somebody who's a vendor who makes it look. I mean, it's your little living. We're not trying to cramp your style. We're just letting you need to get your shit in order so that your things are legally fit for consumption. Right? Yeah. That's it. That's it. Go ahead, Trudy.
Right. So, we really want you all to just take some time, each of you, and give us some important aspects of the discussion that we're having today that you would like our listening audience to take away from today's discussion. So your take-home points for us this morning.
So, being a Barbadian, we grew up hearing the white tales from our grandparents and the Bajan proverbs. So we're going to use that as a framework to give some advice to our Caribbean family and to the Barbadian family. And so we'll start with one of them. So the one we can bring here is, let's see, what you do in the dark comes out in the light. What you do in the dark comes out in the light. What do you think that means in terms of having a safe food supply?
So yes, Jael.
It's like the unknown. So it's not on the label. It's not there. And eventually, if you might be passing it off really good and nobody's getting sick or whatever it is, but then one person gets sick and now it's all in the light, and then you feel bad because you just lost your business. Is that
exactly? NCDs is a perfect example of that, right? Because you don't really, it's impossible to hide all your actions, right? You don't. It's very short term in the beginning, but the longer you hide it, whatever you're hiding will eventually come to light. That's the first proverb. Very good.
Let me try one at Trudy and Jael. So there's the other one. Don't let anybody rub mud in your mouth and tell you it is pudding. What do you think? What do you think of that one?
Oh, wow, I've never heard that one. I have to admit this one is new. So don't let anyone rub mud in your mouth and
tell you it is pudding.
Right. So I would say it's don't let anyone give you something and fool you as to what it is that you're getting, basically. So don't allow anybody to fool you by giving you something that looks like something else, but it's not really that. That's what I'd say.
Very good, Trudy, and you really brought the whole aspect of food fraud there.
Right.
Yeah,
which is what started
Very
off.
good. Cheryl, throw one at Jael.
All right, throw on, child. Okay, yeah, this is a good one right here. What's sweet in the goat mouth does bunny tail? What's sweet in the goat mouth does bunny tail?
Okay, I missed that. Say that again.
What's sweet in the goat mouth does bunny
What's
tail?
in the goat
Mouth does bunny tail.
when you know I don't have a sweet tooth because I have a salty tooth, but I would assume that it means, you know, whatever you put in your mouth, you might be, boy, that's tasting real good. One thing she put that down and that boy, that's real good. And next thing it coming out in your body. You get the Harry.
From a Joe, Suzanne.
Yep, from the door. It tastes good, but you know, it's not made in a good facility under very unsanitary conditions.
Oh God.
So consumers, this is very important. Whenever you're buying something, you must buy something, especially this COVID era, legally fit for consumption. That is the new normal we have now to the food. We have to take account as to what we eat. Hear this one. Hear this last one. This one. One clap, one hand can't
Trudy,
clap.
One hand, say it again.
One hand can't clap.
Right. So I've actually heard this one before. So this is like, we can't do anything without collaboration, without coming together, basically. That's what I take that to mean.
Very good, Trudy and Jael. You are doing well this morning. I mean, you have to add something to get into the Bajans, you know, to the Bajans, you know.
They got to Barbados.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It's very similar. You know, the proverbs that you use are very similar to what we use in Dominica, what we're accustomed to. We kind of probably took it a little bit. We Dominicanize it because every island has their thing, you know. But we can definitely relate to some of the things that you some of the proverbs that you brought up, or all of the proverbs. We can definitely relate to them, and I feel that it's really important that way. I love the way that you've structured it because it makes it easy to understand. A 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 35-year-old can get it, right? And it's about we hear the term legally fit for consumption, and you feel intimidated by it, you know. But the breakdown of it is so simple. It's so very simple.
Right.
Yeah, gotta live it up. Right.
Yes.
We love the proverbs.
They're very relevant, I believe, and as take home points, I think they will stick. One of our viewers is saying that it would be nice to get the perspective from Dominica, and Jael, maybe we can in the future get the Dominican perspective, Bureau of Standards, Ministry of Environment, anything that has to do with food security. And
fantastic idea. I think that's a really good idea in roping them into the conversation and getting them involved, and hopefully we can have the double trouble back on with us, somebody else, from the ministry, and to do like a collaborative. I personally feel like they need their own show personally, but that's because I feel there's so much information that they can provide folks with, and you know, we have not even really felt the heat of COVID because it's literally been a few weeks. You know, we're hearing, like, even up here in Canada, our borders are closed again for another 30 days. So they've extended it. They've actually extended the stay at home for kids. So kids are not going back to school, to the classroom at least, for now, right? So it's literally canceled. No classroom through the rest of the school year. So we're slowly starting to see the effects of it. It will slowly start to affect the economy. And as much as we don't want to admit it, or we don't want to accept it, it's inevitable because people are not as productive as they used to be. And then as a result of that, we'll find everyone will probably try to take not just shortcuts in terms of other aspects of life, but shortcuts in terms of food, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have less access to raw products. You have less access to certain things, and then people start putting things in it. I mean, we even do it at home sometimes with our own making of our own food. When you don't have brownie, you burn sugar, right? Yeah. Right. So even something. I mean, we do it at home, when we're lacking, think about the world on a grander
Oh
scale,
yeah.
that they're going to be substituting things for other things that are not substantial. So we have to pay very, very, very close attention. I particularly like the proverbs. I think we have our own Dominican proverbs. So next time we're gonna run those proverbs so we can Dominicanize it. I mean, not that it wasn't Dominican. It was very appropriate, and I love the interaction that we could actually you try to see if we could figure it out. We didn't do too bad, right? So thanks very much, guys, for really coming on.
Thank you very much for having us. Yes.
It was great having you all. It was really great having you all, and I really want to thank you all for your time. And I'm sure the audience really appreciated it as well. All right, Jael?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. We truly love the fact that you guys came on and gave us the information that we needed, and we kept it simple. So every single household, every single person in Dominica and the rest of the region can understand why it's important for your food to be legally fit for consumption.
Thank you. Really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Suzanne. I really appreciate your time, and we hope that we can have you guys on sometime in the near future. You know, continuing the conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be continued, and we hope that we can get you guys on here again soon.
Certainly. Thank you so much.
Love that.
Yes. Thank you. I want to say thank you very much. Trudy, that was good, right?
Yes, definitely. Jael, so
yeah,
well, I have my little bottle of water in my bag, so so I'm happy about that because I got too much stuff to think about right now after this conversation.
Get over that.
Yeah, too much stuff, So, but it's good. Getting that type of eye-opening stuff is always worth it. So
yeah, and that we didn't know. It's not stuff that we didn't know. It's just stuff that we don't pay attention to.
Right.
Just, you're on your merry life. I'm like, oh, that's fine. I'll be fine.
Nothing will happen. Yeah.
Until it happens.
Right.
Until it happens. I remember, I know of this child who passed away, and they couldn't even figure out what she had eaten or anything, it's serious, man. They were getting the traces in her stomach and of the different I guess bacteria that formed as a result, but unable to determine from where, and it could be something simple, as you picking up, a bottle of coconut water that might not be done properly,
right,
or not even labeled properly. And I like the fact that they brought up, the NCDs, because so many Caribbean people have non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension. Right. And we think, okay, because we're picking up drinking this local juice, and it said that it has no sugar, it's strict, but it's not labeled, and I don't know, you don't really know,
Yeah. That whole discussion could take us a whole other show. So so we maybe need to put a pin in that, stick it for another show, because that NCD discussion, I mean, that can be really broad. So definitely on Woman to Woman, we might take a look at that sometime later.
It's very it's something that's prevalent. It's something that's there. All of us probably know somebody or have experienced it in our lives, and I think it's a discussion that we will definitely have in the near future. We want to say thanks to to our guests for stopping by and giving us the information, taking time out of their schedule. They're professionals, and they've taken time. One of the twins actually has a young baby, and they've taken time out of their schedule to provide us with that information. We're absolutely grateful for that. And thanks to all those people who tuned in. I mean, without you, the show will not be what it is. We really, really, really appreciate you. You have no idea. And we hope that you tell a friend, you tell somebody, hey, I listened to the Woman to Woman show this morning, and I am not buying this because it's not labeled properly. I feel that, you know, or just tell the person, hey, you need to make sure that you're labeling yourself, because it could be your own family member, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that you're labeling your food properly so that it is legally fit for consumption, right?
Right.
I really want to say thank you very much to those of you who commented, those of you who shared the live. If you have not shared it yet, share it, share it live, share it live.
And tomorrow we'll be back on. So if you didn't share the live today, you better share it tomorrow when we come back on. So we're going to be on again, woman to woman, tomorrow, 9 a.m. We will keep you guessing for now, but we have something interesting lined up for tomorrow. And we're going to be pressing on you all. Share that live, share that live, share that live.
Yes. Trudy, stay lovely. I know you got to head to work. I myself have so much to do. Got some money to write professionals. But I did my little workout this morning, so I feeling nice. I drinking my ginger tea, so I'm good to go. Wishing everyone a good day, a really good day. Yeah, I woke up this morning. Literally, I wake up.
Yeah, you're really productive. I mean, you don't need to put me to shame like that every day. You wake up early, you exercise. No, Jael. I mean, okay, give me a chance to catch up now. So,
well, you know what? I could be your alarm. You know, if you need somebody to help you wake. When I have to wake up, I wake up. When I know I have to, I wake up. I hate to be late, so I make sure I wake up and I do what I need to do. And like I was saying to somebody this morning, sometimes you have to readjust your life when things happen. So we're still readjusting, and we're doing this together. Hey. So if you need a little nudge, a little push, a little kick in your body in the morning to wake up, don't worry, I can be there. I'll be there. Thanks. Thank you very much. Back to my show. The Rhythm Nation continues here on Vibes Radio. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.